Hi ladies, I'm very excited to talk about this video today. It's all about becoming a high value woman and leveling up in your feminine energy. So I narrowed it down into three aspects. So it's your appearance, your mindset, and your your dating standards. So I wanted to start out pretty simple. We're gonna go with appearance and then we're gonna get deeper as we go along. So let's start from the outside in. When it comes to appearance, we've talked about before, self-care is really important to be in your feminine energy. You have to take care of yourself because it's impossible to fill other people and their cups as much as you can if you're not filling into yours, right? I just want to start off by saying that looks matter. And when we talk about looks, it's not about, how we internally judge people or one person looks better than the other, and it's not in such a superficial way whereas you have to appear feminine. So looks, it doesn't mean you have to wear dresses, you have to wear pink. It doesn't mean you have to fit into that femininity stereotype. Femininity and feminine energy are two totally different things. You can be in your feminine energy without practicing traditional or stereotypical femininity, right? So any woman can be in her feminine energy, whether you like to wear flowy dresses, whether you like to get a bunch of tattoos, whether you like to wear ripped skinny jeans, whether you like to, wear basketball sneakers, whatever it may be, as long as you feel confident and it fuels you, then that's your feminine energy. So when we talk about looks matter, it's saying it's important to go out into the world and to present yourself in the best way possible. Taking care of yourself and your appearance and practicing that self-care will put you in just a better mood naturally. So when you go out into the outside world and you're radiating at that higher frequency of I look good, I feel good, I took care of myself in the morning, I took care of myself last night, I'm freshly shaved, whatever you did your night routine, and you go about your day in that energy, that's how people are going to reflect onto you. If you roll out of bed in a rush and your mind is everywhere and maybe you forgot to brush your teeth and you feel kind of down about yourself and you're not in your most confident, secure state, then that's going to rub off on other people. When you walk around, it's perfect if for networking, it's perfect to get to know other people. You don't know what types of people you're going to meet. Like, you don't want to go into a grocery store and your ex is there and he's with his new girlfriend, and you were in a rush and you couldn't get it together and now you're not looking your best like you would want to, right? So that is kind of where we come from, because it's not only, even if you went out without makeup, even if you went out in a rush without a shower, you can easily put yourself together, put your hair up, put on, like a nice little active wear outfit and still look cute and still look good. But if you're just rolling out of bed and you're still in your, Grinch pajama bottoms and in a tank top with no bra on, like, it just looks like you're not trying and you're not put together, and you're not gonna feel it either. You're gonna go out in public and not feel your best self. So just some easy kind of self-care tips. So face, I usually use the La Roche-Posay, I think that's how you say it, La Roche-Posay face wash for dry skin. I hadn't used any type of scrub or exfoliator for years because the last time I did, I definitely used it too much and I have really dry skin. But I got one from Ulta from Good Molecules, and it's not a scrub, it's like a glycolic acid exfoliator. So I use two creams. I use like a regular facial cream, but it's also important to kind of have like a hyaluronic acid or vitamin C in the morning, something that's very plumping and hydrating for your skin. So I have a vitamin C hyaluronic acid cream, and since I have dry skin, then I put on a regular cream after that. Sunscreen, always sunscreen. Try to do it every day. Where's my sunscreen? I use this, and it's a stick sunscreen. And I love this because it doesn't give you that white cast. And it's just easier for on the go. Like, it's just clear. And it's 50 SPF, not $50. This was $30. This is my shower routine. I know everyone has their shower routine. I feel like I have to do it in a specific order. I know people wash their hair in a specific order, but for me, when I'm doing like an everything type thing, shampoo, condition, and I'll put like other product in my hair, like a mask, and then I'll go over everywhere with a Dove beauty bar, and then I'll rinse out my conditioner, and when you rinse it out you get the residue. So then I go in with a regular body wash. So I use a Dove like bar soap, to actually clean everything. And then a body wash, I kind of see body washes as just like to make you smell good. Some people use body washes just as their regular soap, and if that works for you, that's fine. But I don't really feel clean if I just use a body wash, a scented one, so I use both. And usually while my conditioner's in my hair, if I'm shaving, I'll do like a scrub and then I'll shave. I've used like a Dove scrub or like a Bath and Body Works scrub. I don't really like the Bath and Body Works ones. I feel like they're overpriced and they're just not as good. You ladies, I get so many, like, I see so many TikToks about women saying like, oh, like this smell doesn't last, like I can't smell good all day, it goes away. It's because a lot of them aren't layering properly. You need to layer your smells. That's why I use a Dove soap and then a body wash, because it's two different smells. Even if it's like the sensitive skin, I still come out smelling like fresh and clean. And then I go and I moisturize. And not everyone can use like highly fragranced moisturizers, but even if it's like I have the Palmer's cocoa butter. You can use like Aveeno, like there's things with like a light smell. You moisturize first and then you put on your perfumes because you have that moisture and it's gonna get locked in on your actual body. And then I go in with like a mist or a spray. I used to work at Bath and Body Works, so I have a lot of sprays and I don't want to just like get rid of them, so I'm just using them. And always put your perfume on your actual skin, and your mist can go on your skin or on your clothes. I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite, but keep your nails done. Like, I don't have mine done, but I keep mine just like, well, what's the word? I keep them well trimmed. Like, I'll file them and I'll clip them, whatever I need to do if I can't get them actually done. Or I'm fine with press-ons. Like, I use press-ons all the time. So press-ons are good. I've always done my own toes, but also I feel like no one ever talks about this. Self-care, like being in your feminine energy, take care of your feet. Take care of your feet. I forget who I was around, but they're like, really? Like, you like do you really? Like, and yes, I use scrubs on my feet. I have just a regular foot scrub in my shower. Like, just take care of them, because you don't want to have calloused, dry, cracked feet all the time. Like, especially during summer, you don't, like, why? I never understood why some people didn't like it. I love it. Scrub your feet with like an actual foot scrub. Use a pumice bar, or I have like just a sugar I don't really know what it's called. It's like a spatula, like a sugar spatula, and I use that to get like the dead skin off, the calluses on like my heels and stuff, and then go in with like a really nice thick moisturizer or cream, oil, whatever you want to use, and put some socks on and just keep the moisture in your feet. Taking care of your hands and feet gets really forgotten about, and I think if you're able to just do all of those things, you're gonna be radiating and you're gonna feel good about yourself, especially when you go outside and like your feet are all cute and, you know, they're soft. Like, you act luxurious because that's how you're treating yourself. It goes all the way into princess treatment, which is another video I have to make, but giving yourself that princess treatment will make, and you like radiate that happiness and that luxury, it'll make everyone else around you treat you that way. I'm going to be talking about dating, how to be a high value woman in dating and leveling up in your feminine energy in relationships. You need to understand your own value before you start going into dating. If you have no concept of kind of, you know, what you bring and how valuable you are as a person, then you're gonna be dating in search of validation for that. And when you do that, that's how you get attached really easily. That's how you start to people please with men. And that's how you start to kind of just keep giving and giving. And they're going to take advantage of that. A man knows and can sniff out an insecure woman, someone who doesn't understand her worth yet, you know, someone who just has no concept of what she's truly capable of. And they sniff that out and then they use it to their advantage. So before you even start dating, definitely practice self-love, read books. If you're very insecure, it's so important for you to understand your own worth and value in what you bring to a relationship, what you can bring to someone else, you know? If you go into a relationship not really having a sense of self-worth, you're gonna spend the entire relationship trying to prove yourself. And that's dangerous, because if you're with a man and he takes advantage of that, you could run yourself dry of money, of your time, of your energy, and it's just not worth it. So, and then another tip I have for you when it comes to having those standards is I encourage so many of my friends to do this all the time. Really sit down with yourself and write down what your dream man is. It could be superficial, it could be his height, his ethnicity, his hair color, his eye color, you know, his smile, whatever you want it to be. It could be, you know, what kind of job he has, it could be his salary, whatever you want it to be. But it's important to set those standards for yourself, so then when you are dating and when you are, like, you know, whether it be on apps or you're in public, you kind of know what you want, what you're looking for. You don't stray away from that, because you have to hold yourself accountable and be able to look back on, okay, I said I wanted a man with these things, and and some of them have to be make or break. Like, if he doesn't, you know, do this for me, I can't be with him. I've seen so many things on TikTok, like, when he does something, where it's, quote, when he does something that I know my future husband wouldn't do, you know it's a wrap. Like, you know it's a wrap. So keep those standards high and create a list of what your dream man is going to provide, what he's going to be like, how is he going to treat you. So, because that's also tying into your value and your worth. You know your value because you know you can get a man that makes this much, or you know you can get a man that looks like this. You know you can get a man that provides this for you and treats you in this way. Make sure you set yourself those standards and don't break them, because that's also showing trust within yourself and loyalty within yourself. The more that you also think about this dream man that you have, the more likely that he can actually show up. And that's a whole other topic of, you know, manifesting that type of man that you want. As long as you stick to your standards and you abide by them, the universe, God, is going to put that person in your life. It's going to be a test. I've been tested so many times. A lot of women are tested many times. You can set your standards and you'll be sent a man that doesn't fit those things, that isn't anywhere near the standards that you set for yourself. And it's a test to see, are you going to go for this person? Are you desperate for love that you're going to go and you're going to be with this person or this man? And then you fail the test, and that's why, and then it's going to take you even longer, because you're going to have to heal from that, and then you're going to have to set those standards again, take that lesson, set those standards, and then the universe is going to test you again and be like, can she, you know, stick to what she truly wants? And hopefully you don't veer off again. But that's another thing. There's going to be so many tests around you. That's all life is. Life is lessons and it's tests. And it's going to see, are you going to revert back to your old ways, to your old toxic patterns? Or are you going to exemplify that growth and that healing that you've learned and not veer off into, you know, old toxic ways? The next part I have with dating is practicing detachment. This has gotten really popular on, like, TikTok and a little bit on YouTube in terms of relationships, how to properly detach, right? It's a triangle. So think of it as a triangle. You have your thoughts, you have your feelings, and you have your behavior. And all of those are intertwined. A thought is always going to link to a feeling. That's why it's so important that we learn to take our negative thoughts and turn them into happy ones. That's what manifestation is. That's what the law of attraction is. If you are thinking happy thoughts, you're going to feel happy, and therefore you're going to want to achieve and strive for happiness. You're going to want to go for your goals. If you're thinking sad and negative thoughts, you're going to feel terrible, depressed, down, and you're not going to put any action, or you're going to move backwards in your behavior. So detachment is when you attach yourself to people with your feelings. So in order to detach, we have to control our thoughts of a certain person. If you're in a relationship, it's very important that you have the emotional maturity to be able to rationalize, you know, the things this person's doing, how they're treating you, and make sure you're not putting them on a pedestal right away. Because if you are naturally starting to be like, oh, like this, like that person turns into your whole world. If you aren't keeping yourself busy enough and all you're doing is thinking about that person already has a hold on you, and they have a hold on your life. So then they're going to control your feelings. If they're sad, if they do something that makes you upset, you're going to feel it all day, because that is all you think about. And then your behavior is going to exemplify that. So that's why it's very important that when you're dating, you don't make a person your main priority. You can, you know, invest time into them, invest, you know, money into them, whatever it may be, and to kind of scout them out and see how you're feeling in the situation. Date multiple people, you know, at once, casually, And if you really get that pull for one person and you find yourself wanting to be with them, then that's good and you can do that. But you have to remember, no matter what, you practice detachment. What I learned in therapy was a wise mind. When you have a wise mind, you have your emotional, what's it called? Oh, your emotional mind, and you have your rational mind, and then your wise mind. If you still have inner work to do and you're still an unhealed person, you're gonna only operate from one of the minds. You can either operate from your emotional or your rational. So your emotional mind is kind of, again, all your thoughts are based on that one person, and you react based off emotion all the time. This is what leads to women who, again, they don't really have a sense of value and they don't understand their own self-worth. So when you attach all your emotion into one person, they are dictating your self-worth, basically. Because you're gonna be like, oh, this person is telling me that I'm not deserving of these things from their actions. So you're gonna react emotionally. You have your rational mind, which is the other unhealed part. These are people that rationalize everything. Everything's based on analyzing everything and being logical. So you kind of cancel out all your emotions, and this is kind of like people who react based more on impulsivity. I feel like impulsiveness isn't an emotion, it's an action. So when you are in your rational mind, you're going to be impulsive with how you react to things. So you're going to be like, well, you know, he missed my call, so he's obviously not into me, and I don't think this is gonna work out for me. You're just rationalizing everything. Or it could be the opposite. He could constantly be doing things wrong, and instead of getting emotional about it, you rationalize his behavior. You're like, you know, he never calls me first, but I know he's busy. I know he has long hours at work. Like, I know, you know, he has such a hard life, and he just works such long hours. It's hard for him to make time for me, and I understand that. When you're neglecting your actual emotions and you're constantly rationalizing his behavior, basically. So the wise mind would be the best way to detach. You're using both emotional and rational. You're able to put them together, and you're able to communicate your feelings to another person or communicate them within yourself. You're able to understand them while also using that rational mind and being like, how is this serving me? And how is this behavior serving him? And is it, you know, an equal type of relationship? Like, are we both getting the same value? Are we both giving and returning in the same way? Don't rule with your emotion, because once you do that, a man will know that he has all the hold over you, but at the same time, you can't use only rationality, because if you're with someone and you can really see it getting somewhere serious, if you're only rationalizing things, they're not going to get that juicy part of you that's very vulnerable and can see more inside of you. In dating, create strong boundaries. And we say this all the time, but I'm going to let you ladies know what a boundary is, because sometimes we kind of forget. Sometimes we think, oh, my boundary is I won't have sex on the first date. Like, that is a boundary, but a boundary is a need that has to be met, and if it's not, there's a consequence. So one of it could be like, my boundary is I won't be intimate on the first date, and if you keep trying to initiate it, I'm not going to see you anymore, and you could block them or whatever. That's a boundary. So good boundaries exhibit self-respect, and it's understanding, again, back to your own value and your self-worth. So when you start dating without boundaries, you're going to start to consistently cater to other people, and they're going to walk all over you. And this happened to me when I was more of a teenager. I didn't have strong boundaries, and I constantly would, you know, just let things go. I'd let things slide. I'd let people get away with stuff. You know, I'd let friends treat me a certain way, or I'd let drama, like, I wouldn't want to discuss it. I wouldn't want to communicate it, because I was like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. Like, it's whatever. You can put it behind you. But that's not how that works. That's not how that works, because you are eventually, that stuff's going to start to kind of build up inside you, and you're going to question it even more. And then when you do build boundaries, because you've learned, like, okay, these people are walking all over me. When you do build those boundaries, people sometimes won't react well to that. They're used to you being that doormat and you giving them access to everything. So then when you build that boundary, it's going to be a shock to them. And you'll lose friends over it. People will get mad at you or angry at you over it, and you will make that shift. But the thing is, anyone who leaves you over boundary or boundaries, or anyone who gets mad at you, those are people you didn't want in the first place because they loved walking all over you and they don't have the respect for you that you deserve. What's important about boundaries is because you can find yourself in a situation where, especially in dating, so when we're talking specific about dating, let's say he's trying to break up with you or he asks for a break. You could be like, I paid all the gas money, like I let you use my car and stuff like that, like I did all these things for you, like why are you leaving? I don't understand. And someone could just say, well, I didn't ask you to pay all the gas, like I didn't ask you to do that, but you did it, like that's not my fault. And people will want to play that game, like I didn't ask you for that. So that's why it's important to have a boundary, because then you can actually communicate and be like, okay, like you can use my car to get to work, but you have to pay the gas. But instead, you're kind of being walked all over out of love, out of being in a relationship. Like, okay, you can use my car whenever you want to get to work and whatever. Like anything you need, honey, like you just go do it. Especially when you don't have this on your finger, don't do it. Don't, because you need to have those types of talks with people. And a lot of people who can't sit down with their partner and communicate, like, we need to talk about finances, we need to talk about, okay, if you want to use the car for XYZ, like you need to be home by this time, or you need to pay the gas. Those are a lot of people, again, they don't have their value set, and they're nice girls and people pleasers lots of the times, because they don't have their value and they want to feel validated, so they'll just go to not having boundaries so they can get their validation from other people. And last tip in dating is men who still operate from their ego. A man that rules from his ego is a type of guy that basically, he may flex a lot of his money, a lot of his things, he's very materialistic, and they don't really have much self-awareness. So when you meet a guy that is operating from his ego, he can come off cocky, or he can just come off like really confident. And there's nothing wrong with being confident, but we need to understand that materials, like men who base their value through their materials and not who they are as a person, is an issue. Because if they have not built themselves up to be very self-aware and to be empathetic, then instead they just see themselves as like, I have money, like I can give you this and that, and that's all you need. And they are just gonna kind of throw things at you without providing that emotional and mental safety. People who operate from their ego, they have a lot of trouble self-regulating and co-regulating their emotions. So what this means, if you don't know, self-regulation is kind of what we talked about before, the wise mind. That's self-regulating. That's detachment and being able to self-regulate how you're feeling. You're able to take yourself away from the situation, and in self-regulation, you're able to control how you're feeling. If you realize that you're angry or triggered, you're able to tap into yourself and your self-awareness and understand either how to take care of yourself and self-soothe, or understand where that trigger is coming from and how you can either move past it in that moment or heal it. And then co-regulating is with a friend or in a relationship. They cannot communicate with you effectively, and they can't be in a healthy conversation with you. The conversation may lead to an argument, it may lead to them getting really defensive. That's a big thing. If you find someone who takes things very personal and they're very defensive, they cannot co-regulate properly. If they lack empathy toward you, that's what happens with people who get very defensive. Anytime you come to them with an issue, they are lacking that empathy to hear you out. And that's someone who operates from their ego, because all they can see is you're attacking them and you're attacking their character. And they can't have that. They don't want to understand you. They don't want to hear where you're coming from, because they already think that you see them in this specific light, when it's not about them. It's about your feelings, and it's about how you both can come together when you're dating in understanding where this feeling is coming from and how to heal it. We did appearance and we did dating and your standards. Last is your mindset. So we're going to talk about your emotions first. So leveling up your emotional intelligence is important. I would say the most important, because then it's easier for you to spot the types of men that you don't want and the ones that have a low emotional intelligence. And it also deters men that have that emotional intelligence from you. It's like you repel them. I've always had a really good sense of self-awareness. By the time I started dating as a teenager, I was always pretty confident in myself. So I developed my own self-confidence, and I also have always been very self-aware. I've always wanted to help others. I've always been able to put myself in other people's shoes, and I've always tried to be very cognizant of how I treat others. And that is part of the reason why I have never been in anything very narcissistic. Luckily, I'm very fortunate. Not saying people who aren't self-aware are the ones that are always in narcissistic relationships. Sometimes people are very manipulative and conniving, but I'm saying it because I usually repel those types of people. I would easily get turned off by people who I could sense were manipulative and narcissistic, because I kind of just knew that they didn't have that level of like empathy. So when you naturally have that high emotional intelligence and on top of that good self-awareness, you're more likely to repel narcissists. Not saying that one won't try with you or you won't get caught up with one, but usually if you are with one, you can pick up on it a bit quicker, and you can kind of see yourself out of that situation. Having that emotional intelligence is very important, and once you start to level up emotionally, you're gonna radiate, and you're gonna present yourself differently, and you're gonna realize not as many men are trying to pursue you, and that's a good thing. That is a good thing. You do not want 10 men in your DMs. You don't. 9 of them are gonna be broke or bums, or they're gonna again rule from their ego. They're not gonna operate at the same frequency as you. So a lot of them gravitate towards women that are on that low frequency, and that's why there's some girls that are like, oh, he was in my messages, like he texted me, like things like that. That's because they're operating at that low frequency. And when you level up emotionally, those men will see that, and they're not even gonna try. They're not gonna try. They're not gonna try in public. They're not gonna try in your phone. They just don't even want to bother because they know that you're not gonna give them what they want. And then, so on top of emotions, we also have triggers. So you have to understand and validate your triggers when they come up. And it's because you need to understand that your triggers come from a moment that your body was trying to protect itself. Your body was trying to keep you safe. And that's why when you have a trigger come up, it usually stems from something in your past that altered you, and that altered how you are around certain people, how you are in certain situations, and that's okay. Like, sometimes I find myself getting frustrated or angry when I have a trigger, and I don't want to be that way, but you have to understand that that is something that kept you safe. It pops up a red flag or a warning in your body and in your head, and it's okay that you get triggered. You can't just allow yourself to get triggered and not do anything about it. It's important that you acknowledge where that trigger may have stemmed from, and you have to heal that side of you. You have to heal that part of you. This one is so important. You need to remember that when you get triggered and you feel anger, or you feel sadness, or you feel frustration or worry, that is that negative emotion from that past trauma in your body. Everything carries energy. As people, we are built up of energy. Your emotions have energy. So when you find yourself angry or sad or whatever it is, that energy is stored inside of you because you never properly released that trauma. So it's up to you to figure out a way to release it. It could be through dancing, yoga. It could be, some people might want to do boxing or kickboxing. I've done that before. You could do writing, anything that releases that emotion out of you, because your energy has nowhere to go until you release it. And that's why sometimes when we get triggered, some people yell, some people sob and cry, which is, sobbing and crying is another way to release it as well. But some people, can get violent and they can get very angry. And that's how they release that emotion from them. But that's not always the healthiest. And that's because when it's stored in you, it literally has nowhere to go. It has nowhere to go until you get triggered and you let it out. You can either do it in a violent way, or you can take time with yourself and you can meditate or dance or do something to slowly release that trauma that's stored in your body. And this is my last tip. My last tip for mindset in a high value woman and leveling up in your feminine energy is it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to put your time and your energy first and foremost before anything else. Because life is too short on people who don't properly give back to you. I used to be that person that would constantly give and give and give, and I'd wait for it back, and I'd want to receive it, and I'd want it so bad, until eventually I just never got it. And then soon after that, I had trouble receiving because like I just was not used to it, and I felt like, oh, I don't need anyone to prove that they love me through giving me things or treating me a certain way, and that's not true. Eventually, when you aren't selfish and you're continuously giving, that's what happened with me, and I wound up just getting used. You can get used by friends by giving too much. In relationships, like I would just pay for so many things. Even when I had like, I literally worked a part-time job, I had no money, and I was constantly paying for dates and for food and for, you know, gifts and things like that, because I loved to give. As women, we love to nurture, and we love to take care of our partner, and we want to show them we love them. But at the same time, you have to remember you need to do that for yourself. A lot of the times, and this is what happened to me, a lot of the times when we don't have that love for ourselves, we're projecting that and we're giving it to other people so we can get it in return. And that's not how you do it. That is not how you do it. You'll never get it that way. On top of that, it's okay to keep to yourself and allow yourself time to be alone and recharge. Don't ever feel like you have a moral obligation to see someone, to do something, to be with anyone, because that's not true. You have no obligation to do anything you don't want to do. It doesn't matter if someone's your family. It doesn't matter if you've known someone for 10, 20, whatever, how many years that you've known them. You don't owe anyone anything, because everything is in exchange. You give, and that person's supposed to give back to you. That's how it works. That's how life works. If you keep giving and giving and giving and filling other people's cup when you can't even fill your own, you're gonna run yourself dry, and you're not gonna be able to give anything back anyways. Like you're just gonna run yourself dry until you can't give anymore, and you're mentally, emotionally just drained, and you give up. You also have to remember, in your relationships, how does that person make you feel? How do they impact your life in a positive way? And how do both of you upgrade in the relationship? Whether it's a friendship, whether you're dating, you have to see it like that. You have to see, like, because we all want to gain something when we are putting in our time and energy to a person. The people in your life should grow with you and not against you. A true friend is going to understand why you need to take space, you know, and have alone time for yourself. A true partner is going to understand, like, you may be going through something, and that's why you can't be intimate in that one moment. And people need to grow with you and be understanding of you and want to see you successful, want to see you happy, want to see you on the right path. They don't want to go against you. And you know, but some people, like, misery loves company. Some people, they want to bring you down with them because they don't want to see you succeed. If they see you succeed, then they know, like, oh, like, what about me? Like, I'm gonna have to, you know, succeed, and I'm gonna have to do these things. Some people aren't ready for that, so they want to stay down there. But you can't allow them to grow against you, and, you know, that's when you have to learn to cut them off and realize, like, okay, this person isn't meant for me, and they're not meant to be in my life, and that's okay. Okay, ladies, I hope that was a good video for you. I hope you really gained some insight on how to level up as a high value woman and what it really takes. You know, high value for yourself to make yourself feel good, high value in your mindset, how you navigate relationships, and high value in dating, and ensure that you are finding your equally high value man like we all deserve. I will see you ladies next week with a brand new video, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye.